The dojo doors swung open at 5:47 a.m. A man in worn coveralls walked in quietly, mop bucket in one hand, cleaning supplies in the other. The fabric on his shoulders was faded from years of washing. His boots made soft squeaking sounds against the polished wooden floor. He moved toward the corner where the equipment was stored. His steps were careful, practiced, like someone who'd learned not to disturb. The morning class hadn't started yet, but someone was already there. A black belt. 3rd degree. Trophy shelf behind him gleaming with gold. Medals catching the early light filtering through the windows. He looked up from wrapping his hands. His eyes scanned the man from head to toe. The coveralls. The bucket. The posture. "Excuse me." His voice sharp, cold. "Janitors use the back entrance." The man with the mop paused. He didn't look surprised, just tired. "I'm just here to clean before. I don't care what you're here for." The black belt stood up, 6 feet tall, broad shoulders, intimidating. "This is a place for warriors, not whatever you are." He smirked, the kind of smile that comes from someone who's never been humbled. "Maybe you should try learning discipline instead of pushing a mop." His voice echoed in the empty dojo. The janitor said nothing. He just nodded, once slow, and quietly walked to the back room. His grip on the mop handle tightened for just a second, then released. He disappeared behind the door without another word. The black belt laughed to himself, shook his head, went back to wrapping his hands. He had no idea what he'd just done, no idea who he'd just disrespected. What that black belt didn't know was this: the man he just mocked had 8 world championship titles. He'd fought in front of millions, knocked out legends, stood in rings where most people only dream of standing. He'd been on magazine covers, honored by presidents, respected across the globe, and in less than an hour, he'd be stepping onto that very mat. Not as a janitor, but as a teacher, a legend, a warrior in every sense of the word. But right now no one knew, and that was exactly the point. Have you ever been underestimated because of what you were wearing? The dojo was called Dragon Strike Martial Arts. It had been open for 12 years, known for discipline, respect, tradition. At least that's what the sign outside said. The words were carved into dark wood above the entrance. Inside, things had changed. The head instructor, Master Chen, had stepped back 6 months ago. Health issues, high blood pressure, doctor's orders. He left his senior student in charge, Marcus Holt, 29 years old, undefeated in local competitions. 3 regional titles in 2 years. Confidence that had slowly turned into arrogance. He wasn't alone. 3 other black belts trained under him now. They followed his lead. Same attitude, same disrespect toward anyone they saw as beneath them. New students felt it. The cleaning staff felt it. Even some of the younger instructors stayed quiet. Fear replaced respect. But today was different. Today, a special guest was scheduled. Master Chen had arranged it weeks ago. A private session. A legendary fighter coming to teach a seminar. No one knew who. Chen kept it secret. He wanted to see something. How his students would act without knowing who was watching. How they'd treat people when they thought it didn't matter. The janitor, his name was Rico, had been hired 2 weeks ago. Quiet guy, mid-40s, always on time, always polite. He'd clean the mats, mop the floors, restock the water station, empty the trash, wipe down the mirrors. No one asked him questions. No one cared to. To them, he was invisible, a shadow that appeared early and left quietly. But Rico wasn't just any janitor. He was a close friend of Master Chen, a former champion who'd left the spotlight years ago. Golden gloves, regional titles, respect earned in the ring. And this morning, he was here for more than just cleaning. He was here to observe, to see what the dojo had become, to witness the truth that Master Chen suspected. That respect had been replaced by arrogance. That tradition had been forgotten. And that today, everything was about to change. Do you think people reveal their true character when they think no one important is watching? Have you ever worked somewhere where respect disappeared when leadership changed? By 6:30 a.m., the dojo filled up, 15 students, some tying their belts, others stretching near the mirrors. The energy was different from what it used to be, louder, more aggressive, less disciplined. Marcus stood at the front, arms crossed. His black belt hung perfectly against his gi, 3 gold stripes stitched into the fabric. "All right, listen up," he said. His voice cut through the noise. Everyone stopped talking. "We've got a guest coming today. Some legend Master Chen set up." He rolled his eyes. A few students smirked. Probably some old guy who hasn't thrown a punch in 20 years. Laughter rippled through the group. But we'll be respectful. We'll bow. We'll nod. He grinned, the kind of grin that said he didn't mean a word of it. And then we'll show him what real fighters look like now. The energy in the room shifted, cocky, aggressive, charged. Rico was in the back wiping down the mirrors. Slow, circular motions. He heard everything, every word, every laugh. His face remained calm, but his jaw tightened slightly. Marcus noticed him. He always noticed people he thought were beneath him. Hey, Janitor. Rico turned around, his expression neutral. You missed a spot. Marcus pointed to a perfectly clean section of the floor, right in the center of the mat. Right there. See it? Rico looked down. There was nothing there. I'll get it. Yeah, you will. Marcus's tone was mocking. Dismissive, one of the other black belts. A guy named Trevor walked over, tall, muscular. Tattoo of a dragon running down his forearm. Man, why do we even let these people in here during training? His voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. Because someone's got to clean up after warriors, Marcus said. Even louder. Laughter echoed through the dojo. Sharp, cruel. Rico said nothing. He just kept working, head down. Hands steady, Trevor leaned in closer, too close, invading space like a bully in a schoolyard. You ever think about trying martial arts? Or is mopping the only skill you got? A few students chuckled. One younger student, a blue belt named Danny, shifted uncomfortably. Leave him alone, Danny said quietly. Barely audible. Marcus turned, his eyes narrowed. What was that? Danny's face went pale. Nothing, sir. That's what I thought. Marcus stared him down for 3 long seconds, then turned back to Rico. Rico finished wiping the mirror. He placed the cloth back in his bucket. He walked toward the back room, slow, steady, unbothered. As he passed Marcus, something happened. Marcus stuck his foot out, not enough to trip him, just enough to make him step around it. A petty move. Childish. Oops. Didn't see you there. More laughter. Louder this time. Rico paused. He looked Marcus in the eye. No anger, no fear, just calm. Steady. Un's okay, Rico said softly. His voice was quiet but clear, and he walked away. Disappeared into the back room without another word. Marcus shook his head. Pathetic dog. Trevor high-fived him. The students went back to warming up, but Danny stood still. He glanced toward the back room. Something didn't feel right. The way Rico moved. The way he held himself. It wasn't the posture of someone broken. It was the posture of someone choosing silence. Someone who didn't need to prove anything. Because he already knew who he was. And that realization made Danny uncomfortable. Because if Rico wasn't weak, then what did that make them? Marcus clapped his hands. All right, enough messing around. Warm-ups now. The class fell into formation. Punches, kicks, drills, but the energy had shifted. Some students laughed along, others stayed quiet. And in the back room, Rico stood by the window, watching, waiting, knowing that in less than 30 minutes, everything was about to change. Would you have stayed silent or spoken up? Have you ever witnessed someone being disrespected and regretted not saying something? At 7:15 a.m., the front doors opened. Master Chen walked in, slower than usual, cane in hand. Each step deliberate. His hair was grayer than it had been 6 months ago, but his eyes were sharp, alert. Behind him, a small man in a gray hoodie and track pants. Hat pulled low over his face, hands in his pockets, no logo. No flash. Nothing remarkable. Marcus straightened up immediately. His posture shifted from casual to formal in seconds. Master Chen. Good morning. Chen nodded. Good morning, Marcus. His voice was calm. Measured, he gestured to the man beside him. This is our guest. Marcus looked him over, top to bottom, short. Maybe 5'5", older. 40s. At least. Wearing clothes you'd see at any gym. Definitely not intimidating. Not what he expected. Welcome, Marcus said. His tone was polite, but his face showed disappointment. He'd been expecting someone impressive, someone tall, muscular, commanding. Not this. The man nodded. Didn't say a word. Didn't even look up. Chen smiled faintly, like he knew exactly what Marcus was thinking. He'll be observing first. Then, if he's willing, he'll demonstrate a few techniques. Of course, Marcus said. He turned to the class, clapped his hands twice. All right, let's show him what we've got. Pair up. Sparring drills. The students moved quickly, finding partners, taking positions on the mat. The guest walked to the side, sat down on a wooden bench near the wall. Still hadn't taken off his hoodie. Still hadn't said a word. His face remained hidden under the brim of his hat. 10 minutes passed. Sparring continued. Punches, kicks, takedowns. The sound of bodies hitting mats echoed through the room. Marcus was in the center, dominating a lower belt. A green belt named Kevin. Flashy. Aggressive. Marcus threw a spinning kick. Landed a hard right, showboating. At one point, he glanced at the guest. No reaction. The man just sat there, hands folded. Watching. Marcus frowned. He expected at least some acknowledgement. Some sign of being impressed. Nothing. He pushed harder. Another combination. Another takedown. Still nothing from the guest. Frustration started to creep in. All right, break. Marcus called out. Students stepped off the mat, breathing hard, grabbing water bottles, wiping sweat. Marcus walked over to Master Chen, leaned in slightly. So, does your guest actually fight, or just watch? His tone had an edge to it. Chen's expression didn't change. He'll step in when he's ready. Right. Marcus turned back to the class. He raised his voice. Let's do an open challenge. Anyone want to spar with our guest? Silence. A few students exchanged glances. Then Trevor raised his hand, grinning. I'll go easy on him. Laughter rippled through the group. A few students nodded, smirked. The guest stood up, slowly, no rush, no urgency. He reached up and pulled off his hoodie. One smooth motion, and everything stopped. The face that emerged was unmistakable, sharp features. Kind eyes. A slight scar above his right eyebrow. Manny Pacquiao. 8-division world champion. 11 major world titles. Senator. Icon. Legend. The room froze. Complete silence. Trevor's hand dropped to his side. His grin vanished. Marcus's jaw went slack, his eyes wide. He looked at Master Chen, then back at Manny, then at Chen again. No way. Someone whispered from the back. Another student pulled out his phone. Check Google. His face went pale. That's actually him. Holy. It's really Manny Pacquiao. The whispers spread like wildfire. Danny, the blue belt, stood frozen. His hands were shaking. Manny smiled, warm, genuine, the kind of smile that put people at ease. Let's go, he said. His voice was soft, no arrogance, no posturing, just calm confidence. Trevor stood there, paralyzed, his earlier bravado completely gone. Marcus tried to recover, tried to say something, but no words came out. Master Chen stepped forward. Trevor, you volunteered. His voice was firm, not a suggestion, a command. Trevor swallowed hard, looked at Manny, then at Marcus. No help was coming. He stepped onto the mat, hands trembling, heart pounding. Manny walked to the center. Still smiling, still calm, and the entire dojo held its breath. Have you ever realized too late that you underestimated someone? What would you do if you had to face a legend after mocking them? And that's when everything changed. Trevor stepped onto the mat. His legs felt heavy, like his body didn't want to move forward, hands shaking. He tried to hide it by adjusting his belt, but everyone could see. Manny stood across from him, relaxed, smiling, feet shoulder-width apart, hands loose at his sides. No guard up yet, just waiting. Don't worry, Manny said gently. His voice carried across the silent dojo. Just have fun. Master Chen rang the bell. A sharp, clear sound. Trevor threw a jab, slow, hesitant, like he was moving through water. Manny slipped it, effortlessly. His head moved just inches, minimal motion. Maximum efficiency. Trevor reset, tried a kick. A roundhouse aimed at Manny's ribs. Manny sidestepped. Didn't even look rushed, just moved, like he knew where the kick was going before Trevor did. Then, in a flash, Manny moved forward. A quick combination, left jab, right cross, left hook, not hard, controlled, but so fast Trevor didn't even see it coming. His head snapped back slightly with each touch. He stumbled backward, off balance. Manny stopped immediately, stepped back, gave him space. You're dropping your right hand, Manny said gently. No judgment in his voice, just coaching. Keep it up. Protect your chin. Trevor nodded, couldn't speak. His throat was dry. They reset. Master Chen watched from the side, arms crossed, his face unreadable. This time Trevor tried harder. He threw a combination, jab, cross, hook. Better than before, but it didn't matter. Manny weaved through every punch. His footwork was poetry, small steps, perfect angles. Every movement had purpose. No wasted energy. Trevor tried to go to the body. Manny blocked with his elbow, countered with a light tap to the ribs, just enough to show the opening. Trevor gasped. Even controlled, it stung. He tried a takedown, desperation setting in. Manny sprawled, pushed Trevor's head down gently, stepped to the side. Trevor was on his knees, breathing hard. After 2 minutes he tapped out, not from pain, from exhaustion and respect. His hands hit the mat twice, universal signal. Manny helped him up immediately, extended his hand, pulled him to his feet. Good work, Manny said, and he meant it. The class erupted in applause, real applause, not mocking, not forced, genuine respect. Trevor bowed deeply, walked off the mat. His face was red, but not from embarrassment, from something else. Realization. Marcus stood frozen, his arms still crossed, but his hands were gripping his biceps tightly. His face red, jaw clenched. Manny turned to him, made eye contact. "You want to go?" The dojo went silent again. Every eye on Marcus. He couldn't say no, not in front of everyone, not after talking so much. Marcus swallowed. Yeah. Yes, sir. His voice cracked slightly on sir. They stepped onto the mat. Marcus tried to stay calm, tried to channel his training, but his mind was racing. This was Manny Pacquiao, the Manny Pacquiao Pac-Man, the fighter he'd watched on TV growing up, the legend, and he'd just spent the morning mocking a janitor. The bell rang. Marcus came in aggressive, trying to prove something. He threw a hard right, full power. Manny ducked under it, so low his head almost touched his waist, countered with a body shot, light, controlled, but it landed perfectly, right under the ribs. Marcus gasped. His breath left his lungs. He tried again, a spinning kick, flashy, the kind that worked in local tournaments. Manny blocked it with one hand, then swept Marcus's standing leg. Not hard, just precise. Marcus hit the mat, hard. The thud echoed. The room was silent. You could hear people breathing. Manny extended his hand. Marcus took it. His hands were trembling. His pride shattered. "You've got skill," Manny said, his voice quiet, honest, but skill without humility is just noise. Marcus looked down, couldn't meet his eyes. Manny wasn't done. "I watched you today." Before we started, he glanced toward the back room, where Rico had disappeared earlier. "I saw how you treated that man." Marcus's stomach dropped. His face went pale. "You didn't know who he was, so you didn't respect him." Manny stepped closer, not threatening, just present. "That man is Rico, my trainer's brother, a Golden Gloves champion, a father of 3. He paused, let the words sink in, and even if he wasn't any of those things, his voice got quieter, but somehow stronger. "He still deserved your respect." The words hit harder than any punch. Marcus felt his chest tighten. His eyes burned. Around the room, students stood in silence. Some looked at the floor, others at Marcus. Danny, the blue belt, had tears in his eyes. This was the lesson they'd forgotten, the one that mattered most. Do you think respect should be earned, or given freely? Have you ever judged someone and realized later you were completely wrong? Master Chen stepped forward. His cane tapped softly against the wooden floor, each step deliberate. The entire dojo turned to face him. "Marcus, come here." His voice wasn't loud, but it carried weight, the kind of authority built over decades. Marcus walked over slowly, head down, shoulders slumped. He stopped in front of Chen. Couldn't look him in the eye. "I brought Manny here for a reason," Chen said. His tone was calm, but firm, not to embarrass you, but to remind you what this dojo was built on. He paused, let the silence settle, then looked around the room, at every face, every student. Respect, discipline, humility. The words hung in the air, heavy, undeniable. Somewhere along the way you forgot that. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue, couldn't argue, because it was true. Chen continued, "You're a talented fighter, Marcus. One of the best I've trained." He shook his head slowly. "But talent means nothing if your character is weak." Those words cut deeper than anything Manny had said, because they came from the man who believed in him first, the man who gave him everything. Manny spoke up, his voice soft but clear. "I've lost fights. I've been knocked down, mocked, doubted." He looked directly at Marcus. "But I never lost respect for people." Marcus finally looked up, met Manny's eyes. That's what separates a champion from just another fighter. Manny's expression wasn't angry. It was compassionate, like someone who'd been where Marcus was, and knew what came next mattered. Chen took a breath. This was the hard part. "Marcus, you're suspended from teaching. 2 months. The words hit like a hammer. Marcus looked up sharply, his eyes wide. "Master Chen." Chen raised his hand. "You'll train. You'll clean. You'll assist." He stepped closer. "And you'll learn what it means to serve before you lead." The room was completely silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Marcus clenched his fists. His knuckles turned white. Pride battled humility inside him. You could see it on his face, the anger, the shame, the realization. For 10 long seconds he stood there, frozen. Then slowly he bowed, deep, lower than he'd ever bowed before. "Yes, Master Chen." His voice cracked, but he said it. Manny stepped forward, put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "This isn't punishment. It's a second chance." Marcus looked at him, eyes red. "Most people don't get one." Manny squeezed his shoulder gently. "Use it. Marcus nodded, couldn't speak. Didn't trust his voice. Chen turned to the rest of the class. Let this be a lesson to all of you. His gaze swept across every face. A black belt doesn't make you better than anyone. He tapped his chest. What's in here does. Trevor, standing near the back, looked down, ashamed. Danny wiped his eyes quickly, trying not to let anyone see. Chen wasn't finished. If any of you think Marcus is the only one who needs to change, he paused. Let the weight settle. You're wrong. He looked at Trevor. Then at two other black belts who'd laughed earlier. This dojo will return to what it was. Or it will close. The threat was real. Everyone felt it. You have 1 week to decide if you belong here. No one spoke. Chen turned to Manny, bowed deeply. Thank you, my friend. Manny returned the bow. It was an honor, Master Chen. Then Manny walked to the center of the mat, addressed everyone. I'm going to leave you with something my coach told me when I was young. The students leaned in. He said, Manny, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have respect, you have nothing. He looked around. I've carried that my whole life. He smiled. And it's the reason I'm still standing. The room absorbed every word. Train hard. Stay humble. Remember why you started. He picked up his hoodie, pulled it back on, and treat everyone like they matter. He turned to leave, then stopped at the door, looked back at Marcus. You've got potential. Don't waste it. And with that, Manny Pacquiao walked out. The door closed softly behind him. The dojo stood in silence. But something had shifted. Something real. Something that would last. If you believe in second chances, like this, do you think 2 months suspension was fair, or should it have been more? Later that afternoon, the dojo was quiet. Most students had left. The energy from the morning still lingered in the air, heavy, reflective. A few students stayed behind, cleaning, organizing equipment, moving slower than usual, lost in thought. Rico was back finishing his work. He wiped down the mirrors one last time, methodical, calm. Like nothing had happened, Marcus approached him. Each step felt heavier than the last, nervous, humbled. He stopped a few feet away. Rico. Rico looked up, set down his cloth, gave Marcus his full attention. Marcus swallowed hard. I owe you an apology. His voice was quiet, barely above a whisper. Rico nodded, didn't interrupt, just listened. I was disrespectful, cruel. Marcus's hands trembled slightly. I judged you without knowing anything about you. He paused, took a breath. And even if I didn't know who you were, it was wrong. The words came out raw, honest, no excuses, no justifications. Rico set down his mop, looked Marcus in the eye, apology accepted. His voice was kind, no anger, no resentment, just grace. Marcus exhaled, relief washed over him, but he wasn't done. Can I ask you something? Why didn't you say anything? You could have told me who you were. Marcus shook his head. You could have put me in my place right there. Rico smiled, not smug, just knowing, because respect shouldn't depend on a title. He picked up his bucket. If I had told you I was a champion, you would have treated me differently. He looked at Marcus. But that wouldn't have changed who you are. Marcus felt those words deep in his chest. Rico continued. Besides, I learned a long time ago. He paused. How people treat you when they think you're nobody tells you everything. Marcus nodded slowly. Understanding. Really understanding. Thank you, he said. For what? For not giving up on me? Rico put a hand on his shoulder. Everyone deserves a chance to grow. He smiled. You just got yours. Marcus bowed. Deep and genuine. Rico returned it. Then continued his work, like it was just another day. Before he left, Manny had gathered everyone one last time. The entire class circled around him. I didn't come here to show off, he said. His tone was sincere. I came because Master Chen asked me to remind you all of something. He looked at each face, one by one. Greatness isn't about trophies, or belts, or how hard you can hit. He placed his hand over his heart. It's about how you treat people when no one's watching. The students hung on every word. The janitor, the beginner, the person serving you food. He paused. The kid who just walked in for the first time. His voice grew softer. That's where your character shows. The room was silent, respectful, reverent. Manny smiled. Train hard, stay humble, and remember. He looked directly at Marcus, then at Trevor, then at Danny. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Those words settled deep. Danny wiped his eyes again. Trevor nodded, jaw tight. Manny walked toward the door, his hand on the handle. Then he stopped, turned back. Oh, and Marcus. Marcus looked up, heart pounding. You've got potential. Don't waste it. Manny smiled one last time, then walked out. The door closed softly behind him. The dojo felt different, lighter, more honest, more like it used to be. Master Chen stood at the front. Class dismissed. Students bowed, but no one rushed to leave. They stayed, talked quietly, reflected. Marcus sat on the bench, alone, thinking about the last 6 months, about who he'd become, and who he needed to be. Danny sat beside him, didn't say anything, just sat there, a quiet act of solidarity. After a moment, Marcus spoke. "I'm sorry, Danny. I know. I'll do better." Danny nodded. "We all will." And for the first time in months, Marcus believed it. Do you think Marcus deserved a second chance? Have you ever misjudged someone and regretted it later? Comment below and let us know which part hit you the hardest. Like if you believe respect should be unconditional. Share this with someone who needs to hear this message. We've got more powerful stories like this